Florida's death penalty dilemma, a descent into barbarity? Is Florida's pursuit of capital punishment leading it down a dark path? Drug shortages and legal challenges are forcing the state to consider increasingly archaic and potentially inhumane execution methods. Are we witnessing a desperate attempt to cling to a failing system or a pragmatic adaptation to unforeseen circumstances? Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. The Florida Senate has approved Senate Bill 1604, a move that should send shivers down the spines of anyone concerned with human rights. This bill isn't about justice. It's about circumventing obstacles to state-sanctioned killing. The bill opens the door to execution methods beyond lethal injection, including the chilling prospect of firing squads and lethal gas. This isn't progress. It's a regression to a more brutal era. Republican Senator Jonathan Martin claims the bill is necessary to ensure executions can continue without interruption. But at what cost? Are we willing to sacrifice our humanity for the sake of expediency? The justification is that the current method might become unavailable or deemed unconstitutional. But instead of questioning the morality of the death penalty itself, Florida is doubling down on its commitment to it. This bill is a blatant attempt to comply with the letter of the law while ignoring its spirit. It's a cynical maneuver designed to maintain the state's power to take a life. Not to be outdone, the House of Representatives has introduced a companion bill, further solidifying Florida's commitment to expanding its execution arsenal. This is a coordinated effort to ensure the death penalty remains a viable option, regardless of the ethical implications. Republican State Rep Bernie Jacques is championing this bill, arguing that it gives the Florida Department of Corrections the necessary flexibility. But flexibility to do what? To experiment with potentially torturous methods of execution? The bill ensures the use of any legal method if current options are unavailable. This vague language is deeply troubling. It leaves the door open to methods that may be considered cruel and unusual punishment. This is not about justice. It's about maintaining the illusion of control. It's about sending a message that Florida will not be deterred from its pursuit of capital punishment, no matter the cost. Florida is not alone in its exploration of alternative execution methods. 8 states already allow lethal gas, and 4 permit execution by firing squad. This trend is a disturbing reflection of the desperation to keep the death penalty alive. Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Oklahoma specifically mention nitrogen gas. This method, while seemingly less gruesome than others, is still shrouded in uncertainty and potential for suffering. South Carolina authorizes firing squad as an alternative to electrocution. The fact that electrocution is considered a less desirable option speaks volumes about the barbarity of the death penalty itself. These alternatives are not solutions. They are desperate measures. They are a testament to the moral bankruptcy of a system that prioritizes retribution over rehabilitation. The use of firing squads is a particularly disturbing development. These methods, once relegated to the history books, are now being considered as viable options. South Carolina recently executed an inmate by firing squad, marking the first such execution in the U.S. in over 15 years. This event should serve as a wake-up call. Are we truly comfortable with returning to such a primitive form of punishment? The resurgence of firing squads is a sign of the times. It reflects a growing willingness to embrace violence and disregard human dignity in the name of justice. This is not progress. It's a step backward. It's a descent into barbarity that should be condemned by all who value human life. Lethal injection has been the most common method of execution since 1976, accounting for 1,431 executions. But its dominance is waning, largely due to the difficulty in obtaining the necessary drugs. Electrocution is a distant second, with 163 executions. The fact that this method is still in use is a testament to the enduring brutality of the death penalty. The shortage of pentobarbital, a key drug used in lethal injections, is a major factor driving the search for alternatives. But this shortage is not simply a logistical problem, it's a moral one. Pharmaceutical companies are increasingly refusing to supply drugs for executions, citing ethical concerns. This is a sign that the tide is turning. The world is beginning to recognize the inherent immorality of the death penalty. Senate Bill 1604 anticipates potential court rulings limiting execution options. This is an admission that the current system is vulnerable to legal challenges. The bill raises serious questions about the humaneness and effectiveness of alternative methods. Are these methods truly less cruel than lethal injection? Or are they simply different forms of torture? Public and judicial acceptance of these methods is uncertain. The courts may ultimately strike down these alternatives, leaving Florida in a state of legal limbo. The ethical implications are even more profound. Are we willing to sacrifice our moral principles for the sake of maintaining the death penalty? Are we willing to become a society that embraces violence and disregards human dignity? Florida is positioning itself as a leader in the debate on the future of the death penalty. But is this a leadership position we should aspire to? The state's actions reflect a broader trend in the U.S. to diversify execution options. This trend is driven by a combination of factors, including drug shortages, legal challenges, and a growing sense of desperation. Florida's actions highlight the complex interplay of legal, ethical, and practical considerations. But ultimately, the debate over the death penalty is not about logistics. It's about morality. Florida's pursuit of alternative execution methods is a race to the bottom. It's a descent into barbarity that should be resisted at every turn. Conclusion and call to action. Florida's desperate scramble for alternative execution methods is not a sign of strength, but a symptom of a deeply flawed system. The death penalty is a barbaric practice that has no place in a civilized society. It is time to demand an end to this state-sanctioned killing. Contact your Florida state representatives and senators today. Demand they repeal Senate Bill 1604 and House Bill Companion. Organize protests, sign petitions, and raise awareness about the inhumanity of the death penalty. Let's work together to create a future where justice is not synonymous with vengeance and where human dignity is valued above all else. The time to act is now.